Hey YouTube, welcome to Dalton Gang Off Grid. Today we are going to render down some lard. I need to get the fire stoked, and once I get that done, we will go ahead and get started. Alright, so I've already gotten started. I've got 4 Dutch ovens on the stove right now, rendering down lard. This is just what is remaining. Pigs have 3 different kinds of fat. They've got the back fat, the caul fat, and the leaf lard. And apparently, if you're wanting to make pastries, you need to use the leaf lard. I'm not really sure what this is. I just went to a butcher shop and asked for some pig fat so I can render down some lard, and they gave me a huge bag of it. So I'm just needing it to like fry up chicken and do just some cooking. So I'm not making any pastries right now. I'm gonna render this down. I am going to try it just to see, just so I can know the difference between which fat works best for whichever type of cooking. But I'm going to show you just the simple basics on how to render down lard. So usually when you start to render down lard, you want to start with a somewhat frozen slab of fat. We don't have, it's not frozen right now because we had to take it out of the freezer. We needed to get some space. And so it's all thawed out. You're typically supposed to chop it up into like fine, just little cubes. It just helps render it down easier, supposedly. But all I've been doing today was just kind of chunking it up and putting it in the Dutch oven, and it seems to be doing just fine. So they do say that when you do it in larger chunks, I guess you typically don't get as much of the lard in the end, but I don't know, we'll see. Okay, so I do start off with just a little bit of water at the bottom so that it doesn't stick. Fresh batch of pig fat. We are rendering it down. You can already see that it's melting. Alright, so these 4 pots here I have been rendering down since about 11, and it is 2 o'clock now. This guy right here, you can really see along the edges. This one got really hot, so it's going to be pretty strong in taste. But you can see the other ones. They're kind of boiling a little bit. They're not too hot, not too cold. It usually takes about 4 hours, but this is the first time I'm rendering lard on a wood stove. And so this is a little bit trickier. So while you put the wood in here, it's going to be nice and hot on this side and cooler over here. So since you want it at a low temperature, just the farther over you go, the lower it is. I'm cooking a lot of lard today, or I'm rendering down a lot of lard today, so it's a little tricky. I'm trying to rotate these guys. But this Dutch oven here I really like because it's on legs, so it's not directly on top of the heat. Now, for those of you who cook with the wood stove, this is what's been working for me. If I keep my temperature anywhere between 300 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, then this stove seems to be working pretty well as far as keeping the temperature. So if it gets down too low, it stops the little boiling. If it gets too high, you have a mess. So anywhere between 300 and 400 degrees is a good temperature, at least on this stove. And we will just monitor this guy and see how it turns out. You want to stir it every so often, just to make sure there's no pieces sticking to the bottom. They say you want to use, or it's best to use, wooden utensils. You don't want the plastic to melt in your lard, and I guess maybe the metal probably alters the taste maybe, but yep, it's really melting. So cooking on a wood stove it's fun, but it's at the same time you don't have the convenience of just going and turning the knob to low. When you are cooking lard, you have to cook it on a low temperature, because if you don't, you're going to burn your lard, and then you're going to have a really strong taste. So you want to avoid that, and plus you want to avoid the whole boiling over mess. So right now we're just watching it. I need to watch the temperature, and first pour your hot lard in a jar, it's going to look like a bright yellow. But the longer it sits, the lighter in color they will become. You can see on that jar 1 how light it has become compared to that jar 4. And then hopefully eventually your lard, once completely cooled, will be a nice pretty white.